What led to the collapse of the much-anticipated Trump-Putin peace summit in Budapest? A meeting that once promised a diplomatic breakthrough has now been shelved, and the reason lies in Moscow's uncompromising stance on Ukraine. According to a Financial Times report, the United States cancelled the planned summit after Russia sent a firm memo to Washington, reiterating its hardline demands. The document, sent days after both leaders agreed to meet, called for Ukraine to cede more territory, drastically cut its armed forces, and pledge never to join NATO. President Donald Trump had supported Ukraine's proposal for a ceasefire along existing front lines, rejecting Moscow's territorial demands. But following a tense call between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Washington concluded that Russia had shown no willingness to negotiate, the FT reported. With that, the U.S. pulled the plug on the Budapest meeting, effectively ending hopes of a near-term diplomatic path to halt Russia's war in Ukraine. The White House declined to comment. The Kremlin has now declined to comment directly on the Financial Times article. Presidential Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov said he wouldn't like to comment on this newspaper report, urging media to recall the official wording used in statements by the Russian Foreign Ministry and the U.S. State Department following the Lavrov-Rubio call. Peskov stressed that the wording and assessments there were completely different.
I wouldn't like to comment on this newspaper report. I simply invite everyone to recall the wording used in the statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry and State Department following the conversation between Lavrov and Rubio. The wording and assessments there were completely different.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, reaffirmed that Kyiv remains open to peace talks, but will not withdraw its troops from additional territory, a stance consistent with Trump's ceasefire line proposal. The diplomatic collapse comes amid renewed nuclear brinkmanship. Russia has tested a new nuclear missile and unveiled a submarine drone capable of carrying nuclear warheads. In response, President Trump has directed the Pentagon to review and test segments of the U.S. nuclear arsenal, a move viewed as both deterrence and signal. As Washington and Moscow return to hardline posturing, the brief window for a negotiated peace appears to be closing fast, leaving the war in Ukraine and global stability hanging in uncertainty.